Greetings, YouTubians, and welcome back to Wayne Sharp World, where today we are taking a look at two knives that I have been wanting to get on this channel for quite some time. I've just admittedly been late to the party, and to be honest, I've been late to the party on this brand in general. I've seen it on Instagram. So much time went by. I said, you know what? Enough is enough. Let's make it happen. I gave him a call, and here we are. Today, we are taking a look at the Asher Knives Spyro Crossbar Lock, as well as the Asher Knives Spyro Liner Lock. Now, before I go any further into this review, I'd like to thank you guys for tuning in today. If you like what you see, please do me a huge favor, hit that subscribe button, follow along, and I will continue to bring you the content. Now, let's take a look at some overall specs on these very, very impressive knives right here. I gotta say, guys, I'm so happy to finally get these things on the channel because, boy, oh boy, they did not disappoint. Now, what we're looking at here, there's a lot of the specs are similar or exactly the same. Some are different, so I'll specify differences as we get to them. But what we are looking at in an overall length for both of them is 7.4 inches overall with a 3.2-inch blade length on both of them, as well as a blade thickness on both of these right around 100 thousandths. The liner lock was like right at 100 thousandths or 99 thousandths, and the crossbar lock came in right around like 104 thousandths, so virtually the same thickness. The blade material here, we are looking at S35VN on both of these guys. Now, there is a 20 CV option for the liner lock only, and to the best of my knowledge, the crossbar lock as of right now only is available in S35. But hey, I'm not one to complain about S35VN steel. That is a mighty fine steel, even still in today's market. We are looking at a drop point style blade on both of them with flat grinds and a handle length coming in at 4.2 inches on both of them as well. We have, as you can clearly see, a liner lock here on the liner lock version and a crossbar on the crossbar lock version. Who would have thought it? Crazy. The biggest difference between these two knives is, outside of the deployment options and lock, is the thickness of the handle. On the liner lock, we are looking at 456 thousandths, and on the crossbar lock, we're a little thicker here at 511 thousandths. And that is really, it's pretty noticeable. You definitely notice that difference in hand. As you can see there, it's a noticeable difference in thickness. Just looking at it with the naked eye. So you do notice that. I'll talk a little more about that when we get to the handle, but I really can't say I prefer one over the other. Both of these here are G10 handles. We have a user of a right or left hand tip-up carry with that nice wire clip, making it lefty friendly, especially for the crossbar lock. Super ambidextrous. Weights, pretty much the same. We're at 2.7 ounces for the liner lock and 2.9 ounces for the crossbar lock. And let's see here, price. This is where things are stupid good. For the crossbar lock version, we're looking at 115 bucks, which I don't think is that bad at all. And then it gets a lot better for the liner lock version, $87.50, which this would easily catapult this knife into, yeah, way up there on my best knives under $100 list. This thing is stupid good, and so is this one. I got a lot to say about both of them. Manufacturer, this is really important to note, and I don't always get to say this sometimes about knives that are manufactured by companies outside of the brand, but dig this. So the liner lock version here, this is manufactured by Petrified Fish, which kind of blew me away. I would have never guessed Petrified Fish manufactured this. Phenomenal job there. And then this guy right here, manufactured by Kunwu. And if you guys have been watching my channel lately, one of Kunwu's knives just won my Knife of the Year awards, the overall grand champion. They won the $250 and up category, and then they also won the overall champion. So a tremendous build quality coming out of Kunwu. I was really shocked to hear that as well. So very impressive manufacturing and very surprising manufacturing, but nonetheless, really good things either way you look at it. Let's take a look here at some size comparisons. And I really kind of went back and forth on whether or not I wanted to review these knives together or separate. The only reason I'm doing them together is because they really are the same model. Like, they're the exact same model. The only difference is the deployment method and lock. They're both Spyros, just crossbar Spyro and liner lock Spyro. So it made the most sense to me. This is the only size comparison you need right here. The Hogue Deca as well as the Benchmade Bug Out, because in my eyes, these are direct contenders to both of these knives, especially when you consider the materials involved and really the price. These are both well below either one of these two. Even if you get the Magna Cut version of this, you're still spending less and you're getting a much better handle. But yeah, lines up right in line with the Deca and the Bug Out, and that's exactly where we are with these two. Perfect examples in terms of size there. Let's get into it. There's really a lot to say. This might be a little longer video, but I really did want to compare these two together because if it was me personally looking for a knife, I know I'd go on there and I'd be like, ooh, do I want the crossbar or the liner lock? So I'm hoping this video will help shed a lot of information and light to everyone out there. But I can tell you right now, and this isn't going to help, but I can guarantee you, you're not going to be disappointed either way you go here, because I really could not be happier with either one of these. They're both fantastic. We'll start with the blades. They're actually both, in terms of like cutting geometry and sliciness, they're both about exactly the same. For the crossbar lock, we have an edge coming in at 17 thousandths, and on the liner lock, it's a little thinner, 15 thousandths. And you really, I mean, to be totally honest, I'm not going to split hairs between 15 and 17 thousandths. They're both totally fine and good to go. That extra 2 thousandths of a difference really doesn't matter to me one way or the other. Now, when it comes to the blade, I really get, especially on the liner lock version, I think it's just because it doesn't have this the fuller here, but I really get Benchmade Griptilian vibes from this blade. I really see a lot of Benchmade Griptilian in this blade, except this blade's a lot better than the Benchmade Griptilian because, one, it's a better steel in CPM S35VN, and it's also thinner and slicier. So, surprise, surprise. Something that looks like a Benchmade but is better. Go figure. But no, these blades are so good, so slicey. Jimping is just right. The blade cutout on the liner lock version is stinking perfect. Just wait till we get to the action on these two guys. I cannot wait to talk about the action of these two knives. And the thumb studs on this one, on the crossbar lock version, are perfect spot. And you can middle finger flick the fuller. Middle finger flicking with crossbar locks is difficult sometimes, depending on where it's placed, like where your hand is and stuff. Sometimes your hand can press down on the lock and make the action a little muddier or slower than you would think, when the action is really, phenomenal for just what it's intended to be used for the thumb studs for. But nonetheless, blades are an absolute home run. Take a look at these plunge grinds. Look at that. It gets thin, stays thin, well behind the sharpened point. Excellent plunge grind. This could be a fantastic knife to sharpen, especially with that S35. Nice shield steel to sharpen. And as well on this one, gets thin way behind the blade, so no issues there. Excellent plunge grinds on both of these. All the details paid attention to, and super, look at those slicey tips. Look at that thing. That is a laser beam of a tip on the crossbar and the liner lock version. So very nice blades. Perfect for EDC in my opinion. And then we get into the handle. And oh man, I tell you what, this handle, again, regardless of which version you go with, the handle is just like the outline, the shape of this handle is just so comfortable. The Contour G10 really shines in both of these models because they're just the right length and they're the perfect thickness. And when you get that perfect combination of width and thickness, and then you get into like Contour G10, you really feel the contouring, and it just feels so damn good. Like I said before, you do have that difference in thickness. It's not a huge difference, but it is a very noticeable difference. So I guess what I would say is maybe this feels a little more like a Griptilian in hand, and this feels a little more like a Bug Out in hand in terms of thickness to thinness. Probably the best way I can put that, or maybe this feels more like the Deca too, because the Deca is a little thicker than the Bug Out, so that might be a better comparison right there. But they both feel great in hand, both very smooth. I did find it interesting, the difference in the branding here. You have the branding on the pivot of the liner lock version, and then the branding, you have a sterile pivot, but the branding is on the blade up here, which I actually kind of like that, because it's one that really disappears in the light, so you don't really see it that much unless you get really up close to it and look. I kind of like that. I think I like that more than the pivot, but either way, I don't really hate either one. I do like the Asher Knives logo. I like kind of like is that the olive wreath or something like that going around it. And then just, AK, nice and simple, pretty clean. So not too bad there. The wire clips work great on both of them. I don't really mind the black or just the regular non-coated clip, but I think maybe I do like the black clip a little better. Either way, they both feel great. Neither one of them. Sometimes wire clips can kind of dig into my hand and not feel good. These both feel fantastic. They feel more like a bent over clip. So no issues there. Everything's fully recessed enough to where you're not going to have any issues getting it in or out of the pocket. So that's very nice. And most importantly, just very, very solid builds, especially when you look at this crossbar lock version. So what we have here is there's not a backspacer. So the middle of this, like the backspacer looking area here, is actually one piece on the show side of the knife. So this is all one piece of G10 here. Then there's just one line for the clip side, which is actually a scale. And then this side has the backspacer integrated into the side of the scale. So really nice design there. And again, just a super sturdy, solid handle. Feels great. And this one too, again, for $87.50 for this model, you have a nice backspacer back there. So there is like absolutely zero flex, and just a really nice, solid build. Both of these knives feel extremely solid for what they are, for just G10, and of course they both have inset liner locks. They both have inset liner locks. Feel great, and man, oh man, they really do look great. They're clean, they're sleek. The blade shape flows really well with the handle. So yeah, it has that nice finish on the G10 too, kind of like that wood grain or leather finish. It's hard to even describe, but it's just very smooth. It's not a pressed texture. Really like the look of both of these knives. And now we get to talk about my favorite part of both of these. And I'm going to save the liner lock version for last. We'll set that off to the side. And now we'll talk about the action on the crossbar lock, because this is the tension on these springs is perfect. Like, it's absolutely perfect. There's been some knives I've handled where I thought the spring tension was way too light. Then there's been some that I handled, like just recently I handled one from Artisan Cutlery or from CGRB that was actually, I liked it a lot and I still like it. It was a nice kind of much firmer spring tension than you would feel on other ones, or stronger spring tension. This is like well above the soft spring tension, and I would say like probably a notch below the CJRB I was handling. What name was that? I can't remember the name of it. But yeah, this is like dialed in perfect for me. Any deployment method you want to do, you can do it. Even the middle finger flick you can do with that fuller. A middle finger flick the fuller, or the thumb stud. The thumb stud's actually really easy to middle finger flick. Get really nice action there with that middle finger, and then the thumb is great. And of course, you can just hit my board there right there. But yeah, very, very nice, smooth action. It really does feel like a Kunwu. Now, I would have never guessed it, but when I was told Kunwu, I was like, okay, I buy that. Like, I completely believe that, because it does feel like a Kunwu. I've just never handled a Kunwu with G10. That was kind of what threw me off. Usually Kunwu is like titanium or carbon fiber. Very different to handle a Kunwu in G10. But I gotta say, yeah, it works. It works really damn well. And this is just phenomenal crossbar lock action. It's really as good or better than any crossbar I've ever handled, to be honest. I really couldn't be for $115. I can't get over the price of these two. $115 for this, absolutely fantastic. And then this guy right here, this right here is stupid good. This is middle finger flicking perfection. $87.50. This is perfect. There's nothing else I can say. The D10 is perfect, especially for a bigger blade. Sometimes, when you get to the smaller blade versus a bigger blade, you have to kind of, dial the D10 according to the size of the knife and the length of the blade. But this one, oh my God, it is just perfection for middle finger flicking. And like I said before, it's a slightly thinner blade. But yeah, man, oh man, and you can thumb flick this very easy. This is one too where I wouldn't mind thumb flicking this on a regular basis, but there's no way I would. I mean, that right there is just way too satisfying, way too damn good not to do that all the time. When it comes to picking one, I'm not going to do that. I really can't, because I honestly love both of these so much for all the reasons. For the value, the quality, the fit and finish, the aesthetics. This is a prime example. I talk a lot about the big four, the Civivis, the Kaisers, the CGRBs, the Vostis. They all make great knives. But Asher is reminding me that you can make phenomenal knives, every bit as good, if not better than them, and you don't have to make that many models. This is a prime example of a guy that is just doing it right with fewer models, and he's knocking it out of the park. So if you're looking for something different, if you're looking for something outside of the big four, this Asher guy over there, and he's in the States, I believe. He's located somewhere in the Pennsylvania area. Definitely give this guy a follow on Instagram, Asher Knives. Look him up. He's got some really awesome designs coming out. Now, the designs coming out, I really hope to get on the channel. I definitely plan to get on the channel one way or another, because I dig them a whole lot. And if they're anything like these two here, oh man, they're going to be so good. But these two here, right here, for the value and for what you get, I mean, these are two absolute solid home runs. And I may even slide these into my Knife of the Year awards this year, because I've never handled them. They're new to me, and I like them that much. So I think I'm just going to make the call right now. These two are both Knife of the Year contenders in their respective price category, because they are new to me, and they're going to be new to a lot of you, hopefully. So if you're looking for a different brand to check out, and you want quality, and you want some of the best action out there for $115 or less, and there's more stuff coming out too. I'm sure the prices will vary. Like, there's a titanium version, I think, coming out. He actually came out with, I believe it was this knife right here, with like a silver Alutex, which I want Alutex so much. I've been so frustrated that there hasn't been Alutex used that much on the lower end knives in terms of the cost. From like, you used to never be able to find Alutex on a knife under $300, and he just came out with some on, I believe it was a Spyro. But Asher's just doing some really, really cool things over there. Be sure to go check them out on Instagram. Check out his website. I'll have it all linked below. Really, really good stuff. Both phenomenal knives. I really couldn't love them more than I do, to be honest. And you will definitely see more on these. They'll be in lists. They'll be in recommendations, because they're just home runs. They're absolutely fantastic. The Asher Knife Spyro, the liner lock version and the crossbar lock version. Let me know what you guys think of these. Let me know if you've handled them. And let me know which one you would pick if you could pick one. I really hope you guys enjoyed this. Hope you have a great rest of your day. And until the next one, I'm out.